Hello everyone, welcome to a brand new series on Kieranocity that I like to call Side Corner. This is a series inspired by the Real Dreams' Extra Second Simpsons reviews, although my take on this show is more about covering very specific and small pieces of media in a bite-sized video length that gets covered in my main videos for a short amount of time. I like to do these more occasionally than my normal videos to entertain you all while I cook up the real deal. Anyways, today is a great day to start off this new series, as I will be looking at Eddsworld's newest episode, Pinheads. Well, we meet again, Eddsworld Beyond. If you've been around for a while, you'd obviously know that Eddsworld is one of my favorite shows of all time. From the early episodes like Christmas 2005, to Golden Era classics like Spares and Santa Claus, to the post-Tord era gems like WT Future and Movie Makers, and even to the Legacy era with bangers like Space Face, Powerhead and Fun Dead, it's no surprise why I deeply love this show for its unique humor, charming art style variety, and unforgettable character moments. But you also know I've made it clear that I've got some serious beef with Eddsworld, more specifically, what it's become. What was once a charming series created by a talented English animator in the late 2000s has, unfortunately, turned into pretty much the Mickey Mouse of online animation. No kidding. With badly written episodes, a questionable community, infamous incidents, odd showrunner choices, poor quality merchandise, and a complete lack of understanding of what made Eddsworld so special in the first place, it honestly felt like the show started to spiral downhill right after Powerhead, possibly the last Eddsworld episode I could genuinely consider good. So tell me, why is it that after all these years, Pinheads might just be the best Eddsworld episode we've gotten in the past decade? For a show that's been dragging itself through the mud in recent years, I have to say, it surprised me. In fact, it might just be the breath of fresh air and step into the right direction that Eddsworld needed. Now, I'm not saying it's perfect, it still has its flaws, but compared to everything we've gotten in the past decade, Pinheads is by far the most solid episode we've gotten in a long time. To explain exactly why, I will have to first get my complaints out of the way. Let's start with the animation. One of the biggest complaints I've had about Eddsworld Legacy and beyond is how the animation quality has fluctuated heavily. Yes, I'm aware that there won't exactly be a person who can animate just like Ed Gould did, but what I mean by that is, even though some people see the constant art style changes as a form of variety, I see it as an annoyance. This isn't because of consistency, rather, it's that they both included art styles I would definitely love seeing stick around, but also art styles I hate so much. Compare an episode like Powerhead to Trick or Treat, Fun Dead to Saloonatics, The End Part 1 to The End Part 2. I still do not like the Beyond art style. It always felt odd to me that a franchise with popularity at its highest is able to look worse than it did 10 years ago, despite the fact that they have many people working on the show, the fact their merchandise sells amazingly, and the fact that they're literally the biggest internet cartoon of all time. Next, I still do not like the voice acting and line delivery done by new voice cast. Yes, George Gould voicing his late brother's character is really sweet, but emotions do not drag me from my opinion that he will never capture the same boredness of Ed Gould's performance or the optimism of Tim Houtek. I don't know how to pronounce that, sorry. Ed Templar will never capture the grumpy spirit that Tom had. And Matt? Well, he's just like the Matt we had since Space Face, so there's nothing to complain about. My biggest complaint about Pinheads is definitely its lack of direction. We don't truly see anything new being portrayed in an environment like a bowling alley, and we don't see much interaction with other spots inside the alley to make this an engaging episode. For example, compare this episode to Hello Hellhole, an episode with pretty much the same premise, but instead of a bowling alley, is the Eternal Damnation. In that episode, we see many different elements and moments between the characters and its setting. The personal hells, the elevator, Lucy, the restaurant. The episode was basically made with the intent to just put the characters in a place the audience never saw before, while making a unique blend of jokes. Here, in Pinheads, all the three guys doing the episode is enter, play bowling, fail, and leave. No interaction with other characters, no satirical portrayals of the actual place, and no sunshine lollipops. If I ended this video here, I would gladly accept this as the worst episode of Eddsworld ever. On the surface, it feels like a season 1 episode of Beavis and Butthead. However, presentation and idea aside, Pinheads actually improves on many tiny things that I absolutely love noticing on my first viewing of the episode, things that I have been wishing for Eddsworld to improve on for years. First of all, despite me mentioning that there was no direction, I am so glad they decided to do a simple episode plot again after so long, and how they were self-aware about it. Ed literally mentions how great it is that they're not doing something action-packed like a competition or a monster attack, all the while ignoring random people trying to lead them into another average plot. Many fans don't seem to understand the difference between the episode's direction and the episode's plot, with a few people mentioning how the exaggerated evil monitor joke could have been a good plot for the episode. But I'm personally glad it wasn't. It has been way too long since we had episodes like Zombie Nation, Moving Targets, and Fun Dead, which were also episodes with plots all about the cast going to a location and just messing around for 10 minutes. While I do stand on my opinion that more could have been done with this setting, I'm still glad we were able to get an episode structured in the way many of the Golden Era ones from 2007 do. Next, I would like to talk about the writing, and boy am I glad that it's much better and less frustrating. I can confidently say that Pinheads is an actual competently written episode, and unlike the rest of Beyond, finally doesn't make me either cringe or furrow my eyebrows. No character inconsistencies, no pointless filler cutaways, no dumb and ridiculous scenes with random characters, no Tor jokes, no community jokes, no memes, no self-references. It's literally what I was wishing for years. Since there's not much of a plot, I can comfortably just talk about the comedy and humor that the episode is going for it. What do I think of it? It's a bit better at least. This episode isn't particularly funny, but it isn't unfunny either. What I can talk about is the fact that they've done some good joke attempts with this episode, which is something really rare to see after such a long time. I already mentioned the previous evil monitor joke, but I must say, this episode is quite good with its visual jokes inside its new montage, which we will touch on in a bit. These visual gags aren't exactly knee-slapping, but they're the kind of jokes that make you smile a bit, you know? They're fine. I would say my favorite one that made me laugh only a tiny bit was when Tom threw himself to a chest of a janitor, getting depressed from killing him, only for that to be revealed as a guttural animation on a screen. That was really funny. Sure, me saying that the best joke of the episode only made me laugh a little does seem kinda underwhelming. But keep in mind, the last Eddsworld video I remember laughing at was Fanservice 2, which came out 4 years ago. Not every joke of this video was a banger though. The smell of feet one felt like something that came out of The Simpsons, the cussing one is a joke I never would have thought to see in Eddsworld, and the fact it was being censored was quite confusing, and I especially didn't like the "my big balls" joke that followed with murder of a bunch of kids. Come on guys, this is Eddsworld, not As the movie. When it comes to animation, you'd think I'd do the same song and dance about the art style, but no. Sure, the movements still feel stiff and a little bit stop and go like always in Eddsworld Beyond, but instead, I want to focus on the part of the episode I actually really liked visually, the bowling montage. First, I want to say, I love that new song. I'm so glad that after literal years, we finally got a new original Eddsworld song playing in the middle of an episode. If we do not count the intro and outro themes in Lunatics, because yeah, the last time there was truly a music moment in Eddsworld was in Santa Claus 3, which came out an entire 14 years ago. About the animation, I want to talk about how, despite Beyond being pretty much minimal with its animation, this scene is so fluid and I love to see it that way. I like the use of the smear frames for hands. I like the way how bouncy some of the actions are. I really like how the facial expressions are done, without them going so off-model. It's got good staging, great appeal, good timing and emotion, slow in and out, exaggeration. This scene basically ticks all the boxes when it comes to using the principles of animation to create quite a memorable and fun scene in an episode that seems quite forgettable. All my praise goes to Penny Bogart, the new lead animator of the show. You've done an amazing job. My only complaint about the animation in this episode, aside from the art style, is the fact that, for whatever reason, they blur out the backgrounds in many scenes. This is definitely odd for Eddsworld, considering the background art has high production value in the show, and the fact that this episode in particular has many visual Easter eggs in its backgrounds. Now, before I wrap this up, there's one more thing that really stood out to me about Pinheads. It felt passionate. The care about wanting the show to change for a little with new animation, more simple written jokes, overall fine execution, and attention to detail were clear. And it honestly felt like the showrunners were finally trying to prove something, trying to win back their audience by saying, "Hey, we can do better than last time, we promise." Which, to me, is highly respectable. There was an energy here that I haven't felt in Eddsworld for a long time, and that's what makes Pinhead stand out as not just another episode, but a step in the right direction for the future of the show. It tried being less about being a new coat of paint, but more so tried to just go back to tradition and see if it still works, although with their new resources. And, to me, I think they did great. If we look at this episode like any other, I'd probably call it a C-tier watch. Probably on the same quality as something like Christmas Visitor or maybe even Halloween 2005. But as an improvement on what we had since Powerhead, it's clearly a good way to start improving. I feel as if the writers decided to study and research what made episodes like Moving Targets or Fun Dead so great, and if the animators decided to study what made episodes like Powerhead or WT Future so good looking, they would be able to understand what me and many other people loved about Eddsworld and try to make it capture the same spirit today. This episode, at the end of the day, isn't really great in the eyes of a critical standpoint, but if we look at it as what we can expect from Eddsworld's improvement in the future, then I'm all in for it. If this episode was just a few minutes longer, had a direction, and didn't blur its backgrounds out, I would definitely title it as the return of Eddsworld's greatness. Wait, is that a Chainsaw Man reference?